No,
The people
seriously.
No, but the people I talked to.
We're going to be on in a minute here, so let's prepare ourselves.
Hold on, makeup?
That's not what I meant by prepare. All right. I would like to call the meeting to order. This is the Litchfield Budget Committee. This is December 7th, 2017. And if we could start by Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have two members not with us tonight. We have Bob and Jim, who are not able to be with us tonight.
And a vacancy. That's why we're three short.
And that's right. So we are. This is us. Public input. We have, what a difference from last week. We have an empty room. Come on down. We do have a second public input. Review and revisions to the agenda. I do not have any changes.
I did not get an agenda.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes.
Might I?
Would you like to say? Well, we do have, the next is member input miscellaneous business, so jump right in.
Are we moving that up again?
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually kind of like it ahead of time, at least at this time of the year.
I'll make a note of that.
Okay. Go right ahead.
I'm Brent Lemire. I don't know that I know these fine.
So this is.
Hi, I'm Jen Burke,
Hi,
budget committee
Jen.
member.
And I'm Tina Harrison, school
Yeah,
board.
nice to meet you both. I am the selectman's rep tonight, and I know it's a lower tier of quality than our usual.
John is not watching.
Right.
We're happy to
but-
have you.
And that's okay, but you know, you'll have to settle with me. But I just want to publicly apologize for not having representation at the last meeting. It was not intended. We anticipated having a representative here. I have to take, as the chair, I have to take responsibility, and I will. And I apologize to this board and to the school board. And we hope to make sure that that does not happen again. And I wanted to get that out. So. And I'm really, it's a pleasure for me to be back at the Budget Committee, which I spent years with. So I'm enjoying this. So.
Well, welcome back. We'll try not to torture you too much.
That's fine. I've been tortured for years. I've been doing it.
Thank you. Any other member input, miscellaneous business, anything that needs to be brought up? Okay. We do have two sets of minutes, however, one set just came this afternoon.
I've already read those.
Oh, you'll like that one, it's long.
So we will save. I did. We will save November 30th for another week, and if someone wants to make a motion on November 9th, or if they have any changes to November 9th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 9th as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes of November 9th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain.
Aye.
I
Two
abstain.
abstentions. Okay.
It's a much shorter agenda.
402.
Hi, Jen. Did you get?
All right, moving on then to correspondence. We received today, if you haven't checked your email, we received today several documents from the school district. We have we received a budget update. We received a finance update. We received a draft default budget, and we received the voting warrant. So I believe we have all the information we will need for next week when we take a look at school district warrants. The other thing we received, we did receive community input from Maureen Halligan, just thanking us for having the Kindergarten expenses being pulled out of the budget and being proposed as, or being recommended as a warrant article. So we did receive that input a couple of days ago. And I think that's all.
What's her last name?
Halligan,
Okay.
Halligan. And then just a couple of updates from Troy, which he will get into next. All right, so then moving right into budget review, the town budget. There's a lot of updated information, so I'll ask Brent and Troy to walk us through, because there are a lot of changes, so it really needs to walk us through what they all are.
And I will defer to our esteemed town administrator.
Thank you. So, I know you received an electronic memo from me with a link to a summary spreadsheet. I've also provided paper copies. There's one left? Yeah, there isn't.
Yeah, and then I have an extra copy here too, if anybody needs.
So I think since the last time we met, it's been a while, so October the 26th was the last time we met. And there were still some items that I had informed the Budget Committee we were still working on. So I'll go through the changes, which resulted in some increases since the last time we met. So those were to my salary, the town administrator salary. We did my review, and the increase, the Board of Selectmen granted a merit performance review to me, which resulted in an increase to my annual salary of $2,730. So that is under executive salary. I won't go through the account numbers, but they're there on the spreadsheet. In the finance department, we had a bookkeeper position that's been vacant for several months, and we just recently were able to offer a position. It was accepted, and that we're very excited about the person that we've hired. Actually went through the school system here in Litchfield. Was a resident, graduated from Alvern prior to Campbell, but still has family, relatives still here in the community. She spends a lot of time in the town, but does live in Merrimack. But anyhow, with her years of experience in education, ended up being a little bit more than what the prior bookkeeper was making. So that resulted in a $1,456 increase to the budget. We also were able to negotiate a new contract with our prosecutor. We had a prosecutor last year that worked with the town for 7 or 8 years and gave notice about this time last year. And we were able to bring a new individual on, and the contract was written, this person was new, and we just wanted to do a 1-year agreement. So it's worked out wonderful. The police department, police chief, everyone's very happy with the service that the prosecutor currently provides. So we were able to enter into a 3-year contract. The first year of that contract, salary is $68,000. This is not an employee, it's a contracted service. So it resulted in $2,400 increase to the budget. Also, the Parks and Rec Department just recently, they met several times reviewing their bids for field maintenance, and they did go along with the current contractor. The contract that they chose was a 2-year contract, fixed amount, $50,000 per year, and so that resulted in a $3,500 increase. So altogether, since the last time we met, there's been $10,086 of new proposed expenses added to the selectmen's budget, the selectmen's column. It's not been put in the budget committee column. Now, the one that may be a little bit more difficult for you is the health insurance. As we said, we knew this was, we were looking at a 17% increase with our current carrier, and we reached out to Health Trust, was able to, we learned the Health Trust rates actually decreased 6-point-something% over last year's rates. So we contacted them, and were able to find that they did have comparable plans that we were currently offering. We met with the union a couple times, and we would not be able to change to Health Trust without the union's cooperation, because we needed to have all the employees, union and non, to be able to have the numbers to be able to join. The union was unbelievable to work with, very cooperative. Obviously, there was a financial incentive for them as well for the town, but I will admit, they had to take on higher co-pays and higher prescription costs. And in their contract that they had between the town, those items don't change unless you negotiate something. And they didn't bring that to the table. They just understood that the current provider we were with, we'd gone off the year prior, we had a 22% increase, and the year prior to that, we changed, the fiscal year, and we only had a 6-month period, and that increased 5%. So they knew that we're really hopeful that the Health Trust is going to be a stable product. It's not to say that the rates aren't going to increase, but I just don't see there being double-digit increases every year. So what I did, I made an assumption, I try to communicate this to you in the memo that I sent out, that I went through and I populated all of the health insurance lines with the new rates. I did that in the selectmen's column, and I did it in the budget committee column, because obviously we're looking at a $69,000 reduction. The one area that I just want to make sure everyone understands is that this board on October 26th made a cut to the police department's health insurance of $20,000. And when I populated the columns, I really basically eliminated that cut. You could always bring it back, but I really just made an assumption that with these adjustments and that type, obviously I think we've all accomplished what we're looking to do. The numbers that we have reflect our current open enrollment, because we just hit the ground running as fast as we could to get everyone enrolled. We've also been fortunate that we filled the vacant position, so we know exactly who's participating in buyout, who's going to be a single plan, 2-person, and family. So the census is 100% accurate. So these are the best numbers I have, but I don't anticipate any changes in the next 12 months unless someone does leave us, but I really don't see anyone leaving us in the next 12 months.
I just want to touch base with the committee and make sure, when we made that $20,000 reduction, did we make it with the assumption that they would go back and revisit it and at least come back with a $20,000 reduction, or was that deduction assuming some attrition or some other reason? I want to make sure that we capture it correctly based on what the committee intended it.
So I would say, I feel very comfortable. I think my personal intent was that money was probably going to be found, so to speak. So for you to have made the assumption and now taken that, I feel very comfortable with that. I think this is great news and a job well done. So
My assumption was, or my belief going in, excuse me, was similar to Jen's. It was a $20,000 basic bottom line cut. We had to attribute to a line item. Health insurance is a large line item within the budget. It was an easier place to get committee members to agree on a cut, as we demonstrated on the 26th, or whenever we were here last. So that was my rationale for why I voted for that.
I'll try to speak without coughing my head off. No, I voted for it because there was, I believe, a discussion that they were going to renegotiate, and the expectation is that it would come back. So the fact that we achieved more in savings than what was cut. We look at where we are relative to the default, to the tax cap and the warrant articles. I don't know if we want to consider that an open discussion still, because we should probably take a look at the warrants, see which ones we want to support, and because we have only so much we can vote for.
Well, to me, it doesn't seem rational to cut money out of, we now know this is exactly what it's going to cost. So
No,
I would have a hard time cutting money from
Well, I think
real
Carrie's
numbers.
point was, if we're I think when we stopped the last time, we were $15,000 over.
Right,
And I thought that included all the warrant articles.
it did.
So
So.
Carrie's, I think
right now-
Carrie's point was if we were still going to be over and we wanted to vote for warrant articles, we might want to consider leaving the $20,000 cut to allow us to support a warrant article. But I think the minus 34,000, to Troy's point, includes all the warrant
Oh,
articles.
okay.
All the warrant articles.
That are here tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
What
then I'm
what
good.
it does not include is the additions, the $10,000 worth of additional new proposed expenses. I did
So-
not put those in the budget committee column.
So it's 24,000 that were under the tax cap
If
at this
you-
point,
if you
if we
approve
voted on
those
all of the
changes.
warrants.
Yeah, well, it could be, but those, I think those rightfully belong in the selectmen's column because the selectmen changed them after the fact. I mean, that's not a budget committee
So then do we
decision.
vote to reinstate the 20 grand to make sure that all the line items are, Ts are crossed and the Is are dotted? Because it was our cut, right?
Well, no,
Ultimately, it has to be our budget.
so I think we have to vote to rescind the $20,000
Yeah.
cut, technically, to get the health insurance aligned, and then we can talk about whether we want to add money to the budget to align with selectmen or leave it
But
where it
would
is.
you have to, if the correct numbers are here now, if you approve
Can we just approve?
the actual numbers, wouldn't that,
It's-
That's what
I
I'm
guess
thinking.
wouldn't that
Now we-
mitigate
I
the
guess it's
problem? You
6
wouldn't
of one, a
have
half dozen
to,
of
Okay,
the
we would accept the 69,096.
and that would automatically overlay your figures.
Right, I think so too.
So it's a net reduction of 69, correct?
Right.
Because you added the 20 back in and
I
then
added the
took the
20 back in.
69.
Okay, I just want to make sure we don't get ourselves caught in a, ooh, we didn't cross our Ts.
Mhm.
So,
All right, so then is there a motion to accept the reduction for health insurance?
So made.
Second.
Made in multiple seconds. We'll pick Dennis or Jen.
Let Jen have it.
Yeah, all right,
I'm
all
good,
right.
really.
Any further discussion?
No, it's, thanks to the, I really appreciate the unions being willing to come to the table and work with us. I mean, like you said, couldn't be done without their willingness, so we really appreciate it. That goes a long way, so thank you.
The question I have, and I apologize if you said it and I missed it, the library goes up because there was a change in the,
Staffing.
They have someone,
changing the
That
plan.
took,
right.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Usually don't
We
see
have an
any
email.
participation in health insurance, so this will be the, we have one employee that's elected to take health insurance.
Any further discussion?
Well,
And it's
so,
only split,
okay,
it's split 50/50 with them,
So-
so that's why it's not a,
so you say nobody in the library usually takes it. The library budget on your sheet is $242,448.
Oh.
It seems like somebody's taking it.
No, there was a
no,
new
no.
email.
so I'm
that
sorry,
went-
but what I did was,
That's not what
they
it
only
is.
have one line.
Oh,
It's
so
just
that's a
one
change
line,
in the
two-
whole thing,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was like, I don't remember that
Yeah.
number.
But it's directly. the
It's only
fire-
up, it's up 5,000, but, okay.
Right,
yeah.
Because it's under health insurance changes, but you bundled it in.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
At first,
there's
I thought you were missing,
No.
that was the subtotal line?
no, no.
There's only one line in our
That'd be
budget,
nice.
library.
Yeah,
Okay.
the library
Okay,
does
I
their
understand.
own, and the selectmen have a single bottom line number.
I understand.
All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the $69,096 reduction in healthcare signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, motion passes. So now that is officially our number. The salary changes. Do we want to do anything with that? I mean, my inclination is to let the selectmen keep that.
What does that mean?
It's in their column.
Well, they don't get to keep it if we don't vote it in.
Right.
Right. But I mean,
You could let the selectmen lose it.
where it's recorded, though, right? So
Oh.
it's in the selectmen's 2018 proposed budget, am I
Yes.
correct?
I'd rather see them have added to it.
That's that was my point. I would rather they keep it.
But
But
we
you wouldn't fund it then. I guess what we're asking you is to consider including it in your proposed
In-
2018 budget.
That's,
okay,
that's where I was
That's-
going.
that's-
This is what I would ask you, because we didn't really know these numbers until we were able to complete the negotiations and everything. So now we're coming back to you and asking if you would approve that for us, please.
So then we would be adding $10,086 to these 4 salary lines.
Correct.
Okay.
It would still be under the tax cap.
Well, it's not,
That's the-
we're adding,
It's all these other things that would.
one of
adds
them
up
is
to
field
10,000.
maintenance, so it's not all salary.
Oh, you're right,
Yeah.
you're right, one is not salary. Yeah.
Isn't
Well, the
But
contract isn't, two
Two are
aren't.
salaries, one's a contract, and the two are contracts, right?
The net is
Only two are
59,
salaries.
you know,
Yeah.
with the reduction.
So,
Wait, so is it safe to assume the default budget's been revised with these numbers?
Yes, so it actually, because of the health insurance savings, it created a bigger gap. And as of right now,
So did you guys, I'm sorry, Brian, did
I
you
went-
guys take the reduction
Yeah.
out of the default budget of the health insurance, or did you?
I always
leave it-
adjust health insurance as to what we project in our 2018.
Okay.
So they went down.
Okay.
Because they were up, 17.5%.
because it's a contracted amount.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Some would argue you leave it where it is because it was the
Right, and they're-
appropriation
right,
from last
we're-
year.
we're- I mean,
I get
Hey.
it.
But
I'm
it's-
okay.
But
I'm
it's
just
a
asking.
We're trying
it's a
to-
contracted amount. If you didn't know the amount, if it was an estimated, like we used to get guaranteed minimum, maximums, whatever.
We've never got a guaranteed minimum.
Right, but, so that was an estimate.
Okay.
This
that's
is
fine.
the actual contract, so they have to use those numbers as a default, because
Right.
it's a contract.
Madam Chair, would it be okay if I made a motion that the Budget Committee approve the additional amount as presented tonight?
Go right ahead.
So move, please.
Okay, there's
So
been,
it's 10, second.
Yes, $10,086.
I'll second.
second.
Oh, you can second that one too, then. Go for it.
okay, seconded by Jen. So then these become part of the budget,
Our budget.
our budget. And that changes our
But that's factored into the-
proposed tax cap to be within $24,038.
Which
Uh,
we
no,
were under,
actually, excuse me, 24-ish, because I didn't do the exact math.
I think we were under by $1 last year.
Yes.
I think we were too. So we're doing pretty good.
And it was
so
difficult
far.
to get there.
Just for my, just so I understand, if we approve this motion and approved all of the warrant articles, which we still haven't discussed, we would still be $24,000 in
Under
Under
the
the
change.
tax cap.
under
Yep.
the tax cap.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
We worked hard this year.
Are you guys done with the budget?
No,
Yeah.
they still have to fire.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, there's
Okay, I'm
nothing
just, I don't want to, I'm not going to be here next week, but I'd hate to see
Listen,
another
don't
change.
get smart, we'll go back to the old days, Dennis. You and me. We'll go.
Let's go. Line by line, Brent, I'm ready.
I think there, I
Yeah,
feel like
fun.
there is like that little bit of an elephant in the room. There's the whole fire station thing, right? So,
No
But-
tax impact, though.
There's no
This
tax
year.
impact.
This year.
Right.
No,
Okay, but-
2018.
Whatever, still, that's not the, there is a tax impact in the long range.
Yes.
All right, so
Oh,
let's stick with,
absolutely.
let's stick with one.
all right.
Right.
So,
But it does affect a little bit your rationale and whether or not, well, all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Kinda-
That's fine.
so just to, so the motion is that we add $10,086 and make it part of our budget recommendation as well, which would bring us still under the tax cap by $23,952. So that's where this motion would bring us. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adding $10,086 to the Budget Committee's budget, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, so,
What's that? Send it
You realize that Brunel's going to make you come. every week.
23,952.
You got money
Yeah.
added to the budget? No,
All right,
I can
so,
explain after.
so now, that brings us up to date on all the changes since our last meeting on the town budget.
And so, can I make a recommendation that we just vote the bottom line and close it out? Since they say they're done, if Troy can give us what he believes
We're done.
the bottom line is for our budget?
Summary.
That would certainly streamline things.
Yep.
I just,
I like your rationale, Mr. Miller.
thank you.
I'm not even,
Can't believe I just said
All
that.
right, so I have your bottom line now at $6,215,024.
So moved, Madam Chair.
A second.
Okay, so that's $6,215,024?
Yep.
What's that increase, do you know what the rate increase is on that? Not that it matters, but realistically, but it does.
It is up $449,000.
Yeah, so it's the estimate, give or take, is about 50 cents.
Yeah. The bottom line, if you look on the tab right after summaries,
That's what we have.
right after summary, click on articles,
Oh, with the default's 100,000.
and I kind of summarized everything here. So if, with the operating budget, and if you approve all the warrant articles, it looks like we're looking at, call it a 4% increase over last year's net amount raised.
Well, if I believe your summary sheet, for those playing Monopoly at home with us, it looks like it's a net increase year over year of about 460,000, give or take, 459. Taking the 508, 412, and then we're down 49, 195 from that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because this
No,
is
you're-
live, and Troy will yell at me.
No, you're right.
Click and click, it should add in the bottom.
You're right. If you look at the operating budget, and we just look at gross, you can see on that tab there, articles. So I've got the operating budget, 17
Right.
versus 18.
Yep.
You're right. We're up $459,000, or 7.98%.
That's, I was looking at
And I was looking at the
just the
whole
budget
picture,
number
and
piece.
you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
That's
so
even
that's
though-
So it's
estimated,
an 8% increase over last year's.
the hydrants.
and that's
Killed us.
estimated
Oh,
at 51 cents on the tax rate.
The hydrants were,
140,000,
Yeah,
yeah.
Items were a lot.
and we had no choice on that.
All right, so,
Next year will be retirement.
Hydrants, yeah, hydrants are $152,000 after this year.
It's gonna kill us, then.
so the motion is to approve the bottom line for $6,215,024. Any further discussion?
So this is for what's gonna go on the ballot as to whether we support that number or not.
Right,
Yes.
That'll be your operating.
This
Your
is the
operating
number that goes forward to the budget hearing on January 11th, and this will go forward for February 3rd.
As much as people would like it, we really can't leave zero in the
No,
warrant.
no, I understand that. I'm just trying to think of whether I think that number, I mean,
Well-
I'm comfortable that we've gotten to that number. I just don't know that I agree with the number. So,
That's fine.
This essentially is the number that goes forward to the hearing.
Yeah.
After the hearing, we'll have to, again,
Right.
approve, or
yeah, but if there are no changes to it,
If-
that number still stands, right? The vote stands?
we would still vote to.
Somebody could vote to reopen the,
Yep.
But this is the vote, is this the vote to recommend it?
This is the vote,
This is the budget committee's
Yes.
number
Yes.
that
This is a
goes to the
recommend.
town.
but it goes to the hearing. At the hearing is another opportunity to change it. So it could change on the 11th, or it could stay the same.
Could be amended up or down.
So you're gonna go to the public hearing.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose is you're coming forward with a recommended budget, but you wanna get public input.
Right.
Based on that input, you may make adjustments to
after
the
the,
proposed
after,
budget.
we'll have potentially have a meeting after the hearing.
Carrie, what makes you, if I might, what makes you uncomfortable with the number?
I just, in speaking with people, I think that there are areas where we could have taken reductions and didn't. To be honest, I think that the increase is a bit higher, especially when I consider all of the increases that are hitting this year. I just think it's a lot to ask of people, especially when there are concerns about areas where we could have made reductions and we didn't.
And where,
I think there are areas of overtime. I think there are areas where we've awarded increases in contracts that could have waited. I just think that there's some areas where we weren't as conservative as we could have been. And
So then I would hope that people would come to the January 11th hearing, and they would express, or even,
Right.
Send us emails between now and then,
Right.
and express concerns that there are places they would like to see reductions made, because that's what the hearing is for.
no, absolutely. I just, if no changes are made, if I vote yes now, then at the end of the day, I will have supported this budget, and I don't know that I wouldn't be comfortable with the default budget, because I think there are enough reductions within the budget that could have been taken. It would be an aggressive budget, but I don't think that it would, I think we're asking a lot of taxpayers this year, and I think that,
See, but you know that we, almost 150,000 of it, we have absolutely no choice on. The
Yeah,
hydrant
but she's
rental
still
fee.
saying that she may not want to support, to go on the ballot or to go to deliberative, she may not want her support there at that time. So I see what she's saying. She's supportive right now of the process, but then to go forward and recommend it to the community, she may not want to go that step. So I think that's what we vote on January 11th,
Okay.
is, we can certainly vote to confirm the bottom line, or
okay.
you could vote to reconsider it, and then that vote could take place. I mean, I think there are a number of ways that.
Right, no, I'm supportive of the process, absolutely, I just, like I said, I just don't know that it was as tight as we could have been.
Yeah, and this is the number we're bringing to the hearing. So I think certainly at the hearing, or after the hearing, when we firm it up, that's when, if you have like the philosophical difference of this number going.
We'll probably re-vote anyway, right, because there's not everybody here, maybe.
Well, it would be nice to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, if, as we go forward, seriously, if you do have concerns, it would be nice, like, for us to know also, as we go forward, where you have these concerns. And hopefully we could provide you with more backup as to why we may have approved this, where we may agree with you that it could have been more conservative, but we also had no choice in order to maintain the services that the taxpayers require. And certainly a dialogue would be helpful, and, as we go forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have some concrete areas, rather than saying, well, I think it could have been reduced somewhere, come back with some concrete, I think this is where, and this is how much.
And that would be helpful to
Yeah.
us as we go forward, even into the next budget cycle.
No, and I appreciate that. I also think that discussions have been made, and we've had discussions. I mean, motions can be made and motions can fail. It doesn't mean I disagree, that I have to accept the failure.
Carrie,
So-
did you make a lot of motions on the town side that we didn't approve of for
I
reductions?
don't know, but all I know is, but at the end, 8%, 7.5% is a hard number. We're looking at what the school's gonna be coming up with and all this other stuff, and that's a lot to ask of people. Do I think, at the bottom end of the day, that we need this 8% increase? I don't know that I do. Do I
So
think?
would you prefer that we not vote on this right now, and you can make more proposed cuts?
No, we can move forward with it as it is now. I mean, it's just, where are my cuts gonna come from? Police overtime. Are we really gonna make a reduction in police overtime?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the question, right? So,
Are we, I mean, there are positions that have been added that I may not agree with. It's just, I don't know that, and even if I made a cut to a line item, there's no guarantee that that's gonna stick where it is. So the question is, do I think that the amount being proposed is adequate to run the town government? I think it's definitely more than adequate. Is it the right number?
right, and so my only counter to that is, we had the opportunity to propose and make cuts and adjustments. I don't recall that there was a lot of discontent, or even any motions, maybe one, that was made and not approved when we went through the town budget process. There were several on the school side that were proposed and weren't voted on, but on the town side, I don't know how much more we can cut from these folks, like,
And that's fine, but I also have to consider the big picture, and I didn't have the big picture, 8%. How much is that?
The problem
tax
is,
cap.
don't let that 8%, with that $150,000 hydrant fee, we got slammed.
I'm not
And
saying
you-
it didn't.
You make that
So,
into the big picture.
Again, I think the philosophical, is that the right number, is the January 11th decision. Tonight, is this the number to bring forth to?
I can bring
Yeah.
it forth. I have to do some soul searching if I can.
I know what you're saying, Karen.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
What I'm struggling with, and having sat here for 2 years, is in 3 years, we've gone up $1.2 million. And I'm not sure, there's certainly no population growth
No,
that's
but
driving services.
look at where we've gone up.
I understand, we're
In
up $60,000 in legal fees. Do we recover that? Maybe we do from St.
Well,
Cobain.
at some
Maybe we
point.
don't.
And the thing is, we hopefully won't
152,000.
have that again.
I understand, 152,000 from the hydrants. Are we gonna recover any of that from St. Cobain?
No, we're trying. I'll
I'm
tell
just
you.
saying, I'm not accusing you of not
No, no,
trying at all.
I'm
I'm
telling
just
you,
saying,
we're
that
moving-
152, what, if hydrants go up by 2% a year, I have no idea what the right number is, it's just
See,
a compounding
And
problem.
I totally understand. I've been in your,
And quite frankly, not knowing what to Jen's point, the long-term impact of the fire station,
yeah.
what that's gonna be next year, I'm telling you, man, if I was sitting here next year, I'd be looking for a flat or negative budget with the fire station coming on, because you're gonna have a huge tax impact problem next year.
Well, we don't know.
You won't.
Yeah.
The budget committee will have a huge
Well, no, I don't,
tax cap problem.
well, we're hoping that that's not the case.
Oh, but I'm just, if you're looking at a
Trust me.
multi-million-dollar bond.
I understand. We're working, we
Yeah.
did work. We had a lot slapped in our face this year. And, and if you watch the meetings, we knew, and we're up against this tax cap that should not be dealing with warrant articles, should not have anything to do with warrant articles, but now we have to live with it.
Yeah,
And we're trying, and if you really look at the expenses, we have no choice.
I'm not arguing that you have a
in
choice.
a large portion of the expenses that we have to bring to.
I'm just saying, if we were a business being run, and I realize that we're not a business, we would be
We're a
looking
service.
to make changes.
Right,
in-
but remember one thing, we do produce no goods.
Oh, I know,
We do not,
I think the recycling center produces, right?
well, yeah, but, no, here's, the whole deal is that we provide a service. We provide services. All of what we do in town is service. And we have to provide services, no matter what the cost. And there are certain services that.
And this year was an unusual year with the St.
No,
Gobain
I
issue.
get it. I mean, I'll go back, because I would harp on the school, and if I was still sitting on the school board, I would harp on the school, that
And
the
so-
health insurance in this town is killing us.
Well, it's
Killing us.
killing everyone.
Right.
Well,
Everywhere.
I think,
Our
I said it
buyouts
at
are
the
pretty
beginning of the
generous.
year, there are not private companies offering health benefits like we have. And if we have to go years without a contract to change our health insurance, I believe that's the point we are reaching. When we pay, on the school side, $23,000 per person for a family plan.
The only
But
thing I'm
that is
going to
not
tell
The
you.
only
Private
advantage to
industry.
working in the public sector versus the private sector, well, not the only advantage, but one of the major advantages is,
Careful.
one of the major advantages is the healthcare plans that are afforded to these folks.
I think if
They don't
you,
get it in salary.
but I don't know, I would go compare hours worked for a salaried employee in and out. I don't want to get off topic, I'm just
We are
saying.
kind of getting
Right.
off
Where-
topic. So this is the
Totally
nu-
disagree with that.
This is the
I understand the
number that's
number.
going
Yeah.
forward to January 11th. And that's what this is. It's
Yeah.
basically bringing it forward to January 11th. After the hearing, if people have thought about it over the next month and say, you know what, I just can't support it, or I think further reductions need to be made, I mean, that's when you take those actions. Is this the right, the motion really is this the number we're going to bring to the hearing?
Yes.
So,
Did you just vote without everybody?
I say yes, it should be the number that we bring to the
Oh, okay.
hearing, whether or not it's the
So,
hearing that goes on the
based
ballot, I
on-
don't know.
based on what this number means, we're gonna recommend to bring forward to the hearing $6,215,024. Is, if there's no further discussion, there is no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? Okay, this is the number we're bringing forward to the hearing. All right,
Which is $102,532 more than the default,
Isn't that much?
according to Troy's spreadsheet.
Almost our hydrant rental fee.
Summary.
The new hydrant rental.
Yes.
102.
The additional.
102, 532 over the default. Yep.
Increase.
Oh,
Hydrant rental.
no.
A third.
A third. It's 508.
No.
All right, so,
It was kind of interesting, I don't know why I've not made the connection before to this, and I should have.
Uh-oh.
But where I've done the, and I know you have some paper copies, but the second page, which lists the operating budget and the warrant articles. Look down at the third set of numbers where it's comparing 2017 to 2018. It shows the dollar change and the percent change. You all there?
On the summary?
Go to the next
yeah,
page.
under articles, I
That one
think?
there. So that, the bottom set of numbers, no, the top, right there, right?
Right, yep,
So you see the bottom where it says 17 versus 18?
yep.
And I'm trying to capture the whole picture here, right? And it does your operating budget, the gross. It does all the warrant articles, the gross. And we back out revenues, we back out any use of fund balance, we add in those war service credits, and we add in overlay. Look what happens. The bottom numbers. We're comparing last year's net amount versus our, estimated net amount for 18. 151,000. Our tax cap is 175,000. So, right, we said we were coming in under tax cap. So we've come in under tax cap, and it's almost a 4% increase. So the tax cap, can range probably somewhere, depending on what you're doing with revenues and stuff, maybe somewhere between 3 to 4.5%.
And that's,
That tax cap is designed to keep taxes capped. And everyone's always wondered, what the percent is, and it's just interesting. Those numbers match up to the tax cap calculation.
I hope so.
And I never, yeah, I know, but I never made, I don't know, those two,
well, I
that's a
think,
very interesting, numbers right there, so it's,
and I think too, it is, you have to take into account revenue. For example, we heard the other night at the school, you could have the budget be flat, but we're losing $295,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
So you could have a flat budget and still increase taxes. So I think you have to take into account the whole picture, which is, what are your revenues? Because a lot of times your income offsets some of the expenses you have to incur.
the only thing that's missing in the tax cap is, not that it happens in Litchfield very often, but if you have a large increase in your tax base, the tax cap's still gonna hold you to no more than $175,000 net amount raised over last year. But if you had a big spike in tax base, that's the beauty of it, then you're gonna get a bigger reduction.
All right, so now we need to move on to the warrant articles. So, as I take a quick look through, we got a sheet tonight. So as I take a quick look through, so, bless you. One thing that's glaringly obvious is no fire stations. So do you want to run us through where things stand with the fire station?
So, we're in the process right now. Monday night, we're going to have the architect and our construction manager. They're going to present an update to the Board of Selectmen of where they're at. There's been a lot of work done behind the scenes. They've been before the planning board. They, I believe, have all of their state permits filed, because we have an alteration of terrain and stormwater. There's a lot of state permitting that's involved. All of that work's been completed and submitted. So behind the scenes, they've been working on a website, which is about to go live. And it provides, it's very well laid out. We're really kind of done, except for the construction manager needs to work on, and they're working on it right now, on the cost estimate. That hopefully will be done within sometime around Christmas, shortly thereafter, because we're up against a deadline to get the numbers so that we can put the legal notice in the paper, and we would like to piggyback the Budget Committee's public hearing. So it's getting kind of tight there. We're, at the same time, we've gone out for proposals from legal counsel to provide bonding services. So we'll be hopefully selecting our bond counsel Monday night. Once we have bond counsel in place, I will work with bond counsel on making sure the wording of the warrant article is correct. So we've just been reluctant right now to throw a number out there. We want to make sure the number that we present to the public doesn't change. That's the one thing we're very, worked really hard on, making sure that there aren't these numbers out there and then it changes every month or, every week. We want it to be a solid number. We are up against one thing that the board's going to hear Monday night, where the construction climate is sort of in an area that it's never been in before. Not only do we have an economy that's just booming and contractors are scheduled out 2 years, the price of labor, the price of construction is high, it's hard, there's a shortage of labor, and now you throw on top of that all the natural disasters that we've had in the last 6-7 months, the cost of just plywood and sheetrock, all of that stuff has gone through the roof, and now it continues with more fires out in California, Puerto Rico, stuff went on in Texas, Florida. I guess it's really, even though we think we're, it didn't affect us, it does, because all the factories that are producing this building material, there's a demand for it. It's a high demand. So we're going to hear about how that plays into this project, how it could have an impact on the project.
Now, I went to planning board Tuesday night with the architect, fire chief, and the engineering. They presented as a courtesy to the planning board. And after our meeting Monday, or Tuesday morning, I emphasized to the architect and the engineering firm that it is imperative that we get a figure ASAP, the best possible figure we can get. And I understand, we started out this project in the best possible climate we could ever.
Yeah.
And after the fall, we ended up in probably one of the worst, because all the material now that we're going to try to import is out of Canada, because everything in the United States has gone to Texas, to Florida, to Puerto Rico. And they are scrambling to find an adequate number, because I told them the number we need is the number that it has to be. So we anticipate, we chatted, and he knows that by the end, within the next couple of weeks, they have to have some reasonable number that we can take forward to bond counsel. And the process is, if it is approved at town meeting, the bonds will be sold in July. The first payment will not be due on the interest until spring of 2019.
So just thinking in terms of our schedule and our needs,
I was going to ask about that.
we need to know where we stand before the hearing.
And that's exactly what he was told the other night. I made it clear that for the Budget Committee absolutely has to have as much information as we can get them prior to the public hearing.
So
You may need to have a special budget meeting just, for our team to come in and do a special presentation just to the Budget Committee.
that's what I'm thinking.
Right. And whatever information you want, we will get you. We just need to get it.
So I'm missing 2 people. The 11th is a Thursday, so the Thursday before that would be the 4th.
January.
of January.
Yeah, excellent.
Because you won't have information until Christmas, you said?
Well, we're gonna,
We'll
we'll learn Monday night. I mean,
right,
it's-
we're gonna find out Monday night, Cindy. And,
It's gotta be,
we have to get something.
it's gotta be around Christmas, because we gotta
This
get.
is not something we can do on January 11th. We need to
Right.
have all of our
Very good
information
point.
and our decision
Yeah.
before we go to the hearing. This is not something we can do. on that
I
hearing.
told him that Tuesday night.
You're right.
So, I mean, it's either January 4th or, well, I'm hesitant. We had sort of put a bookmark on December 28th. But I would rather not use that because it sounds like it's close to when you're getting your information, but it's also during
So
basically
we have to
school
meet,
vacation.
we're meeting the 27th to close out all of the financial stuff for the year.
So I don't want to do that the next night anyways.
No.
I'll be out of
Um,
town, so go ahead.
So how do people, what does January 4th look like?
I can do it.
And I've got
Now,
like,
has the
two people who
architect been
aren't
in-
here.
given any-
No, they've not received any
All right,
information.
would you like a complete, I think it would be
Yes.
appropriate if we had all of the players in here to give you the complete
On January.
on January 4th.
I think you're going to need to have all of the players here to talk to this committee and answer questions.
And we certainly don't mind. And if you're willing to listen, we're willing to get them here.
So budget hearing is what day?
Budget hearing is January 11th, which is a Thursday night.
Okay.
So that's right in line with, we usually meet Thursdays, which is why we had, a tentative meeting on our books is December 28th. And I should
I-
probably look,
I'm
out.
not rely on my.
I won't make the 28th.
And that's why I don't want the 28th.
But I'm
I'm out too, so that's two guaranteed due.
We kind of have the
You lose
bylaws
one.
that say, don't the bylaws say we'll get the information one week and vote the next?
Yes. We can also choose to
Oh, I know.
override that. But that's why I'm
But,
looking at
you know, this is going to be
January
the biggest
4th.
ticket item on both sides of the ballot in the last whatever years, probably since the school was on there. It,
So that's why I'm looking at January 4th. That's a week away from the hearing, and it gives, I think, them time to get all of their information. It makes it so that we're not meeting the week of school vacation or right after Christmas when everybody's still maybe potentially away.
I don't know, you'll have a quorum the week of Christmas.
I don't know that.
So let's do the 4th. I mean.
You
that
need
just makes
5,
sense.
right, for a quorum? You have 8. Dennis and I are both gone, so you can only lose one more.
Well, that's what I mean, that's why I'm proposing
Yeah.
January 4th.
Yeah.
I'm not inclined
Yeah.
to do December 28th.
I guess I would prefer to get the information on the 4th and then vote a night before the 11th.
Why before the 11th? Why couldn't we just vote on the 11th?
I would think that
Vote
the
before the
selectmen
hearing.
would want to have their bond hearing with a recommendation of the budget committee on it versus us not having considered it. And I don't know that, I'm assuming you can go to bond
I had
hearing.
to.
without-
We're going to try to do the bond hearing the same night as the
Right.
public hearing.
Correct.
We have no choice.
No, we're not, we typically meet after the budget hearing.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you would go from the budget hearing right into the bond or have the bond hearing first and go into the budget.
Probably
One or the
go
other.
bond hearing first.
So that's all I'm trying to,
Yeah, no,
to
where there-
accommodate them.
Where there is no financial aspect that we have to vote on for 2018, I think we can vote after the hearing, because it's a warrant article that doesn't have a financial impact. We're basically voting on whether we think the community should support it at deliberative and a ballot. So I don't,
So we wouldn't even have to take a position and we don't have to vote on it at all.
You should, though, because.
I'm not
there's-
saying we shouldn't, I'm
so
just saying.
that's actually a good point.
I don't know that, but I think you do because it's a long-term financial
Because it's a
impact.
bond, we have to take a
a
position on a bond. But I think going into the hearing, we're not coming with a dollar amount at the hearing.
Okay, I would, if I was sitting in the stands, not knowing what's happening, I would want to know what the budget committee thought. And they'll clearly get it before voting day, but that's fine. If- The 4th and the 11th.
So we will have a full presentation on the 4th. We'll make sure, you'll have the architects, we'll have the engineers, we'll have the fire chief, and we'll give you a full presentation on it.
Can we request as much material ahead?
So if
versus,
you
Especially
finalize,
around cost, well.
yeah, if you
cost of living,
finalize it on the
cost of goods.
27th, we need a packet of information as soon as it's finalized.
Cost, plans,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah. We'll get it to you as soon as we can get it. How's that?
Okay.
As soon as it comes into our hands, we look at it. I'll make sure that you get it as fast as we can get it.
So just curious, because of all of the things that you stated and working in the industry, if laborers are short and cost of goods are up, why don't we delay this a year?
Because we had proceeded, the train was going down the track before all of this stuff happened. They don't know, what they're telling us is that they don't know the impact, but they're saying that this is what is happening right now.
I mean, what's really changed is, we kind of, you'll hear it from them. A question came, last year, our plan was that this was going to be all bid out. So when we went to the polls, we had a guaranteed maximum price. Contracts just ready to be inked. There was some discussion about maybe it's not in anyone's best interest to be going out to bid right now. I think there's more comfort waiting more towards March, April to put the stuff out to bid. That seems, they'll explain it to you, but bidding it right now in December did
Right.
not seem to make sense. They thought that the responsiveness of these, the subcontractors and everything the numbers were going to be all over the place.
Because they're anticipating after March and in the spring, things will lighten up, things will get better. So by the time we finally enter into construction, that the problem will, for the most part, have been mitigated. But right now, if they go out to bid and go out to try to price things they're having, you see where I'm going?
No, I understand, but
Yeah,
my
so-
concern is though that you're gonna still, you have to use those numbers though to develop your bond value though, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, so it doesn't really,
We're
so.
we're caught. You know.
So the only
So-
thing I would say is if it's based on Florida, Puerto Rico, and Houston, it's not going to be better by March. So if that's what it's based on,
Yeah.
those areas have a much longer restoration ahead of them.
Yeah.
So March 3 months isn't going to make a difference.
Yeah.
12 months will make a difference.
Right.
provided something doesn't happen in the interim.
No.
But you can't predict
How
that.
often do you really get clobbered like that all at once?
We went 10 years without one.
But what we're
It's
going
good
to
for my
do.
business.
I know.
But what we want to do is wait and see what the numbers come in. See what they, their initial, as soon as this all happened, this is when they kind of.
Everybody canceled their
freaked.
guarantee.
They're going,
I
okay.
just think that the message that they were relaying to us, it wasn't that we couldn't do it. But if you put that out to bid, this was November, right? We were having this
Right.
conversation. And to have everything put out to bid so that we were opening bids sometime around, the first part of January, it was their advice that you do not go through that process because the pricing was not going to be as aggressive as they'd like to see it because of so many unknowns. So one of the things that we've done, we've hired a construction manager, and it's Ekman Construction. They are going to be working they're working with subcontractors right now, reviewing the plans, finding problems, and they're going to be using their own costing software, and they're going to develop a price. They have contractors that work for them, so they're going to pretty much know what the price is. They're going to be working with their subcontractors. They have their own employees. That's the only thing that's changed. We wanted to go out to bid, have a guaranteed maximum price when we went to the polls. We're not going to have that, but we're going to have a very solid construction estimate based on, professionals that do this for a living.
I would be curious as to what the premium we're paying would be. Because, like, to Jen's point, if it's a matter of we're paying an extra 10% because we want it done now versus we'll let everything settle down and then we save 10% in the future, well, is it really worth the extra 10% to
Well,
me to
the
build it?
problem is that, like what they'll tell us, it's like what they said before when we've gone on other building projects. Don't wait because next year could be worse than this year, and you never, ever know, and things never go down, they're always going to go up. And what affects you now, we don't know what's going to.
I would argue things do go down, because look, at asphalt prices went down significantly, so it's
Well,
all
we had
supply
oil
and,
production,
it's
right.
all supply and demand, so if things get squared away and then plywood becomes, if we can't get your hands on plywood, it's naturally supply and demand gonna be more expensive.
Well,
Is it
Plywood in
worth
the fire station,
bricks and mortar?
Thank you.
Drywall,
That's what I
Some plywood in there
Shingles.
somewhere, I'm sure.
We'll get a couple sheets.
Let's put it
Jen.
blocking, you use plywood for blocking, you need.
We are going to depend on Ekman, which we weren't going to do before. We are going to depend on them with their contractors to get a somewhat of a concrete number.
So, I mean,
And-
I guess, the moral of the story is, you're gonna come up with a price, probably per square foot. You're gonna, what drives the construction cost, it's gonna be so much per square foot. 'Cause they're not gonna have the entire building scoped, I wouldn't think.
I think-
And big.
No, they,
Well, they'll explain it, but I believe they
They're gonna
will.
explain it to you,
They're
but-
working, as I'm
So you're
told,
gonna get
it's
a number.
surprising how.
You're gonna get a number.
We're gonna get a
And
number.
that's the number you have to live with. If
Yeah.
things get worse,
Well, we have to
Value
adjust.
engineering.
We have to adjust.
so I mean, and I have enough trust in the selectmen that if it's a $3 million job and the bid comes in at $2.8 million, they're gonna spend $2.8 million. Not find a way to spend $3 million. But
No, my
that's-
concern though is the bond will be 3 million, but if we waited a year, we could have done 2.5.
Yeah, I don't know that it's
So-
that drastic, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know.
The bond is 3, and then next year is 3.2, and the year after it's
Correct, it's
3.6, and it's
right.
3, yeah.
And then what emergency things have to happen in the fire station because of an extra 12 months?
And can I tell you, when I first asked for this as fire chief in 1988, we could have built this building for $750,000. Okay?
But we would need a new one
Complete.
now.
No. No, not the way we're gonna, no, $750,000 in 1988.
I mean.
We asked again in 96, and it was 1.6 million. We asked again in 2004, and I believe it was 4 point something million. And now they've got $1 million worth of equipment that sits outside, that I go by and I go out of my mind,
Certainly not
You should
questioning
try
the value of this fire station or the fact that we need it. The logic of, because of the hurricanes and the fire in California, is very questionable, just based on my personal experience
Sure.
professionally. So-
and I can understand. And I may have overemphasized that, but I don't, that's
Yeah, I-
what we got as original, they don't want to bid it because of that right now.
I think the problem is,
Oh, it's
I'm not in the business, but what they were trying to tell us is that right now, if I go to the drywall company, and I tell them, give me, I sign a contract with you, I want you guaranteed maximum price, and I make, the contract with them right now, based on the climate they're in, shortage of labor,
Oh, yeah.
increased cost of materials, the price right now would not be in the best interest of the town. So that's why they're saying, let's give ourselves more time. We'll do in-house cost estimate, but that was, so I think saying, oh, the hurricane, I think it was just them being professional, saying, it is not in your best interest right now to put this project out to bid and expect to get good competitive price quotes the first of the year.
No, and I was a construction manager, so I completely understand that. So that's why I'm a little nervous.
Can we,
So we're going to get a presentation on January 4th that includes the construction management, the fire chief, and all of the players,
Yep.
so we understand.
Whatever you want, we will get it here.
And we're going to get
As
information.
complete as we have, we will,
Yes, so we'll get a packet of information as soon as you get a packet of information and ready to
And
ship
we'll have the
it.
website out, I think
Right.
they're gonna release the website after they present to the Board of Selectmen Monday.
On Monday, oh, okay, so that will help.
That
Will
won't have
that-
any pricing, but
Yeah.
it'll have your site plan, it'll have the report that we did down at the old station.
might actually get some people at the budget hearing.
and stuff. You will have some people at the budget hearing now.
yeah.
We might want the auditorium.
We usually do,
Have to.
we usually do. so-
Although we
for the
probably
fourth
could
or-
hold the budget hearing in here most years.
Oh, I see what you're saying, for our meeting on the 4th, we might want the
If they're going to
auditorium.
have a presentation
Yeah.
and, that's something where I think
I
it would
think
be very
voters would
like
beneficial
to- They
for the
have-
town Like, that's where we get out on Facebook?
You know what, that's not a bad
Gonna have
idea.
to check the
Yeah,
schedule,
can you-
see if there's anything in there.
Yeah.
They do
Things come
have-
first.
But I believe they do have it in paper also, but they do have a video presentation that
Well, we have.
they probably could put it right up here.
It's just
Well,
that we.
I
What about
think
the
the people,
audience?
the
If-
audience.
If we get
I think-
30 people,
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
This is a,
I think because, it's not, we want some opportunity to
Oh,
start
yeah.
trying to promote this, so why not
Right.
try to have it at the auditorium
Yeah.
and try to invite the public to come
advertise it
listen?
and get people to come.
Absolutely. More information.
Yeah,
Information is
definitely.
power.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Hopefully we can, the auditorium, you're gonna check that?
Yeah, we'll check and
I'm
see
checking it right now.
Okay.
if the auditorium is available.
just school do it, Michelle, they'll honor
That's what
it.
I'm doing. I can make all kinds of things happen.
Michelle is
You are the
magic.
best, Michelle.
All right, so then let's move on to the other warrant articles. And start with, so they're not the operating budget. All right, full-time police officer, Article 5. So to see if the town will vote to hire a full-time police officer effective July 1, 2018, at an annual salary and related costs of $40,889, and further vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,889 for
So lucky.
wages and benefits, and for the period of July 1, 2018 to December 31, 2018, estimated 2018 tax rate impact of 5 cents.
I will move.
I was going to say, it just
May
breaks it
approve.
out 2018 and 2019, because you have to show what it's going to be the following year, and I think there is a motion. Second. All right.
So, I asked this at town meeting once,
Is this to recommend to the article?
and
Yes.
I think because you say
What's the
annual
budget,
salary,
operating
you are
budget
limited
number
to that.
recommend?
Full
It
hearing.
should say initial or first year or something along that line.
Yeah, you could just take out the word, just
At
say
a
salary.
starting
That is an
salary.
excellent point.
Because if
Or
you would be stuck.
wages and
Oh,
benefits.
you are, thank you very
See if the
much
town
for
will
that.
do it.
You're welcome. I don't want to see you get, trying to hire,
Oh, no.
4 years from now, that's what it was approved.
sorry, dude, I can't give you a raise.
No, thank you very
Yeah.
much for pointing
I
that out.
mean, you can check
That
with
is-
legal
you are-
counsel, but
no.
I asked at one deliberative if it said annual and it doesn't say initial or
But
salary.
we still have to run these by,
Yeah, it hasn't
Yeah.
been.
we have to run it by DRA and legal anyway, okay?
DRA might let you get away with it, but hopefully legal would tell you.
But if we could ask for approval for the
Yeah, oh,
intent of the
yeah.
article, we
Yeah,
appreciate it.
to bring forward to hearing with either
Yep.
a recommendation or not. Any discussion?
So this brings us up to the full complement, right?
Oh, we hope so.
I
This
believe
is-
it does.
This is the last one.
Yes.
But don't we still have a bunch of openings?
We
No.
just filled.
We just filled one last week.
all the openings.
All of the openings are
All-
filled?
and the
Because
new
my question would be like,
officer.
why
We just-
add another one if we're not filling what we already have?
Well, I don't know that it's a lack of trying.
No, but I know, but
Yeah.
if you're trying and you still can't fill, 2 out of 4 spots,
Well,
well
remember, I
then,
think we have, how many at the academy? We have
We have two that just coming out.
two are just coming out.
Now, we
of
just
the
hired
academy.
one that was the actual, I'm sorry, the one we just hired.
Was a vacancy.
Replacing Jim Odon.
Right.
So he'll be going to the academy after the first of the year.
so this should be it for a while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we should start seeing a recovery of overtime
The
costs.
overtime,
Okay.
That's the intent.
Hopefully, $50,000.
No, right?
That is the intent. Oh, no, that doesn't relate to that.
Well, hopefully,
Dennis.
next year we'll have, we have somebody coming back from a deployment, right?
yeah.
So we'll-
You
we
have
should
Officer
see.
Brown.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. He should be back hopefully in February.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Let's go revisit the
So
overtime.
we're hoping.
All right, any other discussion on full-time police officer?
Pretty sure we tried that.
Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending for the hearing, Article 5, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, 600. Article 6, plow truck lease purchase. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 6-year lease purchase agreement for the sum of $161,640 for the purpose of lease purchasing a plow truck with equipment and attachments for the highway department, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $26,940 for the first year's payment for that purpose. The first year's payment in the amount of $26,940 shall come from the unassigned fund balance, and no amount to
be raised from taxation. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. Estimated 2018 rate, tax rate impact is 0. And it then shows a spreadsheet of all of the next 6 years, the total 6 years of payment.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that the Budget Committee approve Article 6, plow truck lease purchase.
Motion has
Second.
made and seconded. Further discussion?
How many plow trucks are we gonna look to own in the future? Like, are we gonna be seeing more plow trucks as warrants?
Well, currently, right now,
Mhm.
our front line plow truck is 9 years old.
Mhm.
And we have 3 other old trucks. This one here that we're planning to replace, the truck is a year 2000, so it'll be 18 years old. Anyhow, we have 3 used and what I call the new one, which is 9 years old. We wouldn't be increasing, but we do want to try to replace the existing trucks we have, so.
Right, I don't think there's any need, the road agent, I don't think he has to increase
Okay.
We're not increasing the
anything
fleet.
yet. We're not
Just
increasing the
What
fleet.
we're probably gonna do is, Jack and I, don't hold me to this,
Right.
but if we get this truck,
Mhm.
this is gonna give us 2 solid plow trucks.
Okay.
I mean, one of them's 9 years old, but it's a
Right.
good truck. Then we may keep our eyes open for the state surplus,
Okay.
the used trucks.
Mhm.
Because,
And
if
start
we have
with-
2 pretty dependable front,
Right.
primary plow trucks, we can rely on the used trucks as the other 2.
Okay. And like I said, my concern too is we're seeing a lot of stuff, and we know fire trucks are on the horizon.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So what is how much are we gonna be paying for equipment leases in the coming years?
So the expectation is you'll retire the oldest truck, sell it, scrap it, whatever the deal
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I was just asking from the standpoint that I don't want to suddenly see an increase because we decided to keep it, now we need to pay somebody to drive it.
No,
I don't believe that's the intent.
No.
Or
This
we
is a
decided to keep
replacement.
it, and now we need $7,000 in repairs.
Right.
And a driver.
Scrap it.
If they were to keep it, I would think it would be for.
We're not sure if, I
for
know,
parts
the
for the
frame
other 2.
is,
The frame is good.
well, the one that we're replacing. We don't know if it'll even pass inspection next year. but it's significant.
Oh, it's about the plow frame.
No, I'm talking about the frame of the truck.
Oh, well, no, that's why we're getting rid of it. Yeah,
So
it's
the
not
likelihood
gonna-
of
the
keeping it for a
2000 truck
driver
is-
is not very good.
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
the salt
But
kills us.
it could be a good plow truck that,
But the salt
is
is
parked at
on
Market Basket, and they just park it there, and the landscaper just does the parking lot.
You can sell it to them for that. You
Sure.
can store it for you.
Sure.
All right, so the motion's been made and
All
seconded.
right, is there any further discussion on Article 6? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending Article 6 to bring forward at the bond hearing, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain?
Is it a bond hearing?
All right, so 6,
Is it a bond hearing?
budget hearing.
Yeah.
Bond on the brain, budget hearing.
Because a bond means you then you need 60% or something, right?
All right, Article 7, third year of library non-union wage plan implementation. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,401 to fund salary adjustments to bring the library employee salaries in line with non-union employee wage plan, as approved by the Library Board of Trustees in 2015. This article represents the third year of a 3-year implementation plan. Estimated 2018 tax rate impact of 1 cent.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that the Budget Committee approve Article 7.
Is there a second?
Recommend Article 7.
Recommend.
Sorry.
Been made and seconded by Dennis. Further discussion? So this is the last year of a non-union wage plan
Mhm.
for the library. And the town is now all up to date. There's no more, because it was a 3-year implementation.
We eliminated the 3rd-year implementation and just went right to the performance review.
Okay.
Is that a yes?
It's fully implemented.
No.
It's fully implemented.
We're done
No,
now.
but you're-
We weren't really able to fully implement it because it wasn't funded, the 3rd year wasn't funded, so we just,
I thought we
We're just
discussed
doing-
that could go to a warrant article and be fully funded. but we didn't
so we're
know
just
that.
doing the performance review now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Alrighty, all those in favor of recommending Article 7 to bring forward at the budget hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, 600. Article 8, Town Earned Time Accrual Expendable Trust Fund. These are all tongue twisters. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be placed in the Earned Time Accrual Expendable Trust Fund as previously established. This sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from taxation. Estimated 2018 tax rate impact is 0.
So why
Madam
is
Chair?
Why, oh, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that the Budget Committee recommend Article 8.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been made in second.
Why is the balance at 0?
That's my estimate for year end. So it's based on, we had employees leave this year. I think we had 3. And then we just did our annual buyout for sellback. And then we also have the police chief, where we are trying over the next 3 years. We've already done 1 year. We have, what would you call it, a non-binding memorandum of understanding that over a period of 3 years, we're going to try
Why is it
to-
non-binding?
Because it's subject to funding.
So
It'd be
the,
non-binding because the selectmen can't bind future
Multiple
town
year.
meetings, so.
okay, but I mean, it's not non-binding, we can come back and renegotiate. It's non-binding so long as it's funded.
If we don't have the funds available, we're not obligated to pay out his earned time in year 1, 2, and 3. So the plan is, we've come to an agreement that he has a lot of earned time on the books, and in exchange, he's agreed to, what we called, set aside some of those hours at a different hourly rate, not his current hourly rate, so there's some savings there. In exchange, he was able to get the payout over a 3-year period if we have the funding available.
The alternative is that when he leaves, the town has to pay the entire amount in one crack, whether we have the money or not.
Well, I would hope that when that occurs, we learn from this and negotiate a little tighter.
That's,
So,
sometimes, I understand what you're saying, and certainly we hear that. I'll leave it at that.
yeah,
You understand?
I understand, and there's a lot of history there, so we'll just
Yes.
leave it at that.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending Article 8 to bring forward to the budget hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? 600. Article 9, Building System Trust Fund. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be placed in the Building Systems Trust Fund as previously established. This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be erased by taxation. Estimated 2018 tax rate impact 0. Estimated balance as of 12/31/17 is $25K.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that the Budget Committee recommend Article 9 as written.
Is there a second?
Second, oh, go ahead.
Jen, second.
Um,
You want to explain this a
What
little
is
bit?
this?
Yeah, yeah.
This
Building,
one?
yeah, Building Systems Trust Fund.
Building Systems Trust Fund, I didn't name it, I probably would have come up with a different
Yeah, I
name.
know.
But this is a expendable trust fund that covers all unanticipated repairs.
hot water heaters, roof
That's right,
failures.
all town
So the town- All the
facilities.
town buildings.
So, in our operating budget, we carry just,
Right.
minimal amount for just doing preventative maintenance, some minor repairs. But this covers repairs, for example, this year was, we had a bad year this year. We had the Litchfield septic system down at the old fire station, which ended up costing, it could have cost well over $30,000, but right now, we did about $18,000 worth of work. We think it's working, but what we did was we basically connected the fire station to the old town hall Litchfield. So we had to put in a pump system to get it to the old Litchfield. The Litchfield was evaluated, it appeared that it was in good shape, it could handle the load, so we're hoping that that's fixed now. That cost about $18,000. We lost the air conditioning unit in our IT room. That cost $6,000 to repair. And I think we had another $10,000 worth of repairs to various HVAC heating systems throughout the town. So I'd like to maintain, the $25,000 is, I'd like to maintain the fund at $50,000 a year.
So
That's the
what is
reason.
currently in this fund?
So right now, I just talked to the finance director. We believe that when we pay the bills, that we're gonna have $25,000. If nothing goes wrong between now and January 1st, we're gonna have about $25,000 in the fund.
And last year at this time, you had 60-ish, based on what
No,
you
I
just
would,
said?
I would think around, it would've been a little, around 50 or maybe a little less. I don't,
So, I know the school just had some consultants go
may have only
through.
had like 40 last year.
Okay, so the school had some consultants go through their buildings and give us a list of, the next 5 years, these are your critical items. Which is very nice, because then they don't become emergencies, because we can address them proactively. Any chance the town has decided that they'd like to do an evaluation at some point? So we're not waiting until things fail to address them, and instead, know when they're coming?
That's certainly a valid point, and it's probably a good,
Reactive is always more expensive than proactive.
absolutely. And that's a consideration. We should probably do that. Of course, there's some buildings we're going to be scared to hear what.
The solution might be
Level it.
removal. I was gonna say.
But I think it's
Level
Fire
it.
training.
Oh, my God.
right, but it's important to have an understanding of where our buildings are, so that when,
No, you are correct. There's no argument there. And that's probably a valid point that we should look at.
So I mean, I think it's prudent to fund this, but who's to say that that's even enough? Like, because we don't know the status of our air handlers, or our
Well,
boilers, or.
The only thing, Carrie, is that, we really don't, these things, we had no clue that these were going to fail. And we're not going to find somebody to tell us when the leach field's going to fail, or when the ventilation system's going to fail.
No, but
The town hall's relatively new.
No, I know, but they take a look, they test, they say how old is it, what's the expected life cycle, how far along are you, in the next 5 to 10 years this is an issue.
Sure.
So you just know when you get into that end window, you start looking a little more closely.
And I think that's a valid point, and I think that once we get an amount established.
Right.
It would be easier to work within that amount to see, once we figure out what we should be doing, and then move forward with it.
So I know, just so you remember, the school board had their consultant approved by warrant article, so next year it might be worth considering what it would, is there somebody who does evaluations of town buildings, and could we get the consulting services approved in that way to get the reports?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And just to remind you that when it comes from the unassigned fund balance, it's in order that the articles are approved. So the first thing to be funded would be the plow truck. The second thing to be funded would be the expendable trust fund. This would be the third thing to be funded if there was unexpended, unassigned fund balance.
Do we have that much?
How much is in the expendable trust fund?
The expendable trust fund balance right now, today?
Oh, no, are you saying
Are you the
unassigned
unassigned
fund balance?
Unassigned fund, sorry.
The
Yeah.
unassigned fund balance, we have, I believe, I want to say 1.3 or 1.4 million.
Okay.
So what we've been doing for the last 2 to 3 years, the auditors always come in, and they were just recently in, and the selectmen always ask this question: is our unassigned fund balance, is it, a healthy balance? And they've always said that you're within the range. There's two ranges. There's a range that's set by Government Accounting Standards Board, GASB, and then DRA has their own range, and they're different, but we're within the range. And then the other thing they look at is that every year, I don't say every year, but we have warrant articles where we take money out of the unassigned fund balance. At the end of the year, you put that money back in. And we have been able to do that. Last year, even though we took money out, We put all the money back in, plus an additional $25,000. So that's what's important. You get yourself in trouble if you start taking the money from the unassigned fund balance and you don't replenish it. The funds get back returned from three sources. The unexpended funds at the end of the year from the operating budget. Surplus revenues collected above what were projected. And we also have the overlay account. The overlay account is what we raise in taxes to cover abatements and property taxes. So we don't always use all the overlay. And those three areas of surplus go back to the unassigned fund balance.
And we probably have access to this, but I don't know. So do we as a budget committee know what percentage comes from each? Or what the dollar amount is that comes from each?
From those three sources?
Yeah.
You don't know, and I don't know.
How much did we put in last year?
What's that?
How much got put into the account last year then?
Everything.
How much went back in?
Yeah.
We'll have to check with the auditor.
I'd have to double check, but
Yeah,
it was
with the
around
auditors.
100 and, it
We had
was
a
just over
very-
100,000.
Yeah, we had a
Right.
very good report this year.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was revenue, I believe,
Okay.
additional revenue unanticipated revenue.
Yeah, and I guess that's just my question. It would be nice to know that it's unanticipated revenue as opposed to surplus from the budget,
Right.
so.
See, but our vehicle registrations, have been coming in at a very healthy clip.
I know people keep buying new cars.
Right, and so the more,
I just
right, the
remind
more
people
we,
that
that's
with
one
age,
thing. Anything over and above builds this account. We're supposed to maintain, as a town, according to DRA, between 6 and 16%
I think it's, yeah.
of the total budget as unanticipated fund balance.
Yeah.
We are well within that range. The auditors gave us a big thumbs up this year.
Oh,
Our
I'm sure
report
they did.
is clean, and they said that you certainly would be fine taking some from the unassigned fund balance.
Got it, thank you.
And I know for a fact some towns, I know of one because I worked in it, take money from the unassigned fund balance and put it against the tax rate at some point. That is not necessarily recommended practice. It happens, but if it's,
Just pay the next
it's an
year.
option.
It
It's an
creates
option.
that
Well, no,
roller
say
coaster.
you have a
spike.
year where you have a spike, exactly.
Oh, I'm thinking about the budget, but if you might have a big
Right.
warrant article.
You may have a warrant article where you have a spike, and at that point, it may be advisable to take
Yeah.
some of your unanticipated fund balance, because then it would keep the tax rate,
Level.
instead of spiking it and down, it would level out the tax rate. And this is where we try to maintain a healthy balance, so that in case that happens, in case we need something, then, the spike won't be anywhere near as bad by doing that. Prudent fiscal management.
I
we
like,
try.
I like the way the town of Litchfield uses the unassigned fund balance. There are towns that will use it to reduce the tax rate, and it's just a political thing where they're like, well,
Right.
we just want to reduce it 50 cents this year. And then they have no means of trying to sustain that for the next year, so now you have a jump of 50
It's
cents.
artificially
And then you have all the
depressing
new
it,
costs.
the tax rate.
So it's nice to be able to fund
It's
these
not right.
one-time special warrant articles.
Which is
and you
essentially a
manage-
tax.
And you manage
credit,
your fund to make sure it's always healthy.
because You're not using direct tax money, so it's the same.
Do you have a sense of where we're gonna end this year up in terms of?
Well, should we
underspend?
vote on this?
Well-
Oh,
I guess,
because this is not related.
well, I guess it is,
Well, I guess
because
it is, but-
I'm curious if we've already withdrawn the money from the building trust fund for those items, and if we underrun,
Oh,
how do we, maybe we should look at something different.
so we're looking at that, but this year, my budget's extremely tight, and I don't see us really turning in much
Okay, I was
from the
just-
operating budget.
If you told me you were gonna have
Because we had that
$30,000 left, I would
Yeah.
Oh,
say,
no, no,
then
think-
why wouldn't we
I think we'll
expend
do
that
good in revenues.
30,000 and leave the other one alone?
no, we're a little bit,
I see us
We
doing
have
fine
a
in
little bit of
revenues
sweat
and
in
probably
there.
in the overlay, so
Okay.
we'll have a little bit of surplus there, but,
we didn't have much snow
No.
this year, and now they're predicting 2 storms this week.
This week.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right.
Aye.
Any further discussion? All those agreeing to,
Yeah, in favor.
In favor of Article 9. Of
Aye.
recommending Article 9, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? 600.
I should have just abstained because Cindy couldn't pronounce the article. You have to vote the last one.
All right, so no, I don't think we have to vote the last one. I have never heard of such a thing. So apparently I need to look up these RSAs.
I addressed that at the
Heritage Commission.
planning board Tuesday night, too.
All right, so.
We'd like to know about our behalf.
If you want to, just a little heads up, there is a possibility that there could be a petition warrant article, one that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I'm having a discussion with a resident. I don't know if it will come forward, but it's, they're looking at submitting a petition to establish something like a beautification fund to be used for various things, landscaping, flags, monuments, signs.
Boat launch.
So-
No river access?
No river access. But
I know, I was surprised at
will say
that myself.
I mean, the person's
Bummer.
working on it, so I don't, but there is one individual that I know that's out there considering a petition article.
Okay. Petition articles are due before the hearing, so you would know by the hearing.
Do we know the date?
I know, I can't
Sorry?
remember the, when do
Petition warrant articles are
have to be in?
due.
Oh, you had to ask me.
I
that.
know,
don't
I
have
know
my
it's.
sheet with me tonight.
I know it's before,
Um,
for the hearing.
Hang on a second, let me get my annual meeting timeline.
Oh, I thought I had it here.
It's a race.
Nope, I don't have it.
October 1st. I pulled it up last night, and I don't know where I put it.
Okay, I was just curious.
It's usually, it has to be before the hearing because
Yeah.
it all has to be presented at the hearing.
Petition articles, I want to say,
Might be the day before, might be that Wednesday, the 10th.
it's usually, no, petition articles? Petition articles have to be in before deliberative.
Yeah, you don't have to have it
You have
for,
like till the end of January.
unless you're going to
If it
petition a
has-
bond.
If it has a financial impact, it has to be presented at the hearing.
January 9th.
Yeah.
Deadline for petition articles is January
Is it-
9th.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew
of
it
the
had to be
bond.
before the hearing, because it has to be noticed at the hearing.
If there's a financial impact, if it is not presented at the hearing, it cannot move forward
Right.
at town meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for a town budget review? Any last words?
We've said enough. Thank you.
All right, so we do have time. Tina, if you want to give us any update on school budget?
We received another enrollment update last night at the board meeting, which is, in the last month, 3 students from GMS moved out of district.
Okay.
That was the only change. Let's see.
Get the enrollment report to you. That's the one thing I forgot to send
Ah,
over to you.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's see, we had principal reports, we have a lot going on at the schools this month, toy drives, angel tree drives, the CHS SAD chapter is putting on Polar Express for kids, for families on December 15th. CHS Student Council organized a Make a Difference food drive in November to go to Litchfield Food Pantry.
Is that still, do they still do the competition thing?
They do. We don't have the official numbers yet. But
And there's
another,
always some games that are played by one school or the other, if I remember.
Oh.
We're going to count every package of ramen.
yeah, I remember that being an issue one year.
Well, it is, it's one meal.
Right. I think I have a soft
Thanks,
spot in my
Troy.
heart for GMS.
Thank you, good
Good
night.
night,
Troy.
thank you.
Especially since that was during their raise craze, where GMS kids did over 2,000 acts of kindness and raised $20,000 for the PTO, which is pretty fantastic. Lego Robotics, 2 of the 3 teams at LMS advanced to the state competition, and both teams won the Core Values Award.
Wow, nice.
So I think that says a lot about how we're doing. So let's see, 21 students were inducted into National Honor Society at CHS. And as of November 6th, 30 students have submitted a total of 121 college applications. So a lot of kids aiming high, and we've had 85 colleges come to CHS to give presentation
Wow.
with prospective students. So we're off and rolling. The one-to-one program, we're going to be rolling out in 8th grade, starting January 4th. There are a number of students who are enrolled in Spanish 1 and Algebra 1 as 8th graders. And so basically they're getting their Chromebooks a semester early, and those devices will go with them through the summer and up through CHS. We looked at adding introduction to statistics as a new math course, kind of filling a gap for students who aren't quite ready to take honors pre-calc or honors statistics or AP statistics their senior year. And we're looking at adding a PSAT, SAT prep class as well at CHS. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll expand on the topic next week, but I know there have been a lot of questions about what the school board is doing, moving forward with our full-day kindergarten proposal. So at this point, we have not made any final decisions, whether we've put it in a warrant article, and I think that was included in the warrant articles that we sent to you, but we're still weighing our options and considering all community input before we make a final decision. So we can talk about that more next week.
Next week, we will discuss the school warrants. So people have had an opportunity to look at them. So just, again, looking at logistics, that whole week before we make a decision, are people feeling like they have enough information so that when they come next week, they hear the full presentation? Do you feel like you're going to be able to make a decision, or is this something we should tag on to the January 4th meeting?
I will not be here next week.
That's right. You will not be here next week.
So I feel like we have the warrant articles today, so any questions that we have about them, we have a full week to submit and get responses on. So, I mean, we just voted on the town, we got them today.
But I think we had the numbers for the town for a while. They've been in the budget submission.
Yeah, we had the
that Troy
numbers. We
had.
didn't necessarily have it broken down
text.
into the charts and the
Yeah.
text.
Right.
And we've got the numbers on the school ones now from what
Yeah.
came, so.
These aren't that difficult,
No.
really.
No.
Okay, I just want to take
Oh,
a
thank
temperature and
you.
weigh in on what people feel comfortable doing. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. And if you have any questions, as before, if you submit them through Cindy to the district, we'll get them answered before next week.
Okay.
But we plan to have the whole complement here, so.
Okay, good.
The whole board's gonna come?
I don't know about the board, but we'll have admins and
Oh, okay.
the
I was
whole-
just gonna say, make
the
sure
whole
you
team.
post it.
There's not one that's going to be here. Kids to watch, so.
All right, we have our last public input. We have nobody here, so is there a motion?
made.
Adjourn, and second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, folks, thank you very much.